Yeah, Dimitris, are we expecting too much of European Union? You know what I mean? We always say we must, we should, and so on and so on. But can we deliver?
Well, the adverb must, the word if, does not have any place in history. I can tell you, and we have experienced that together with Maria, that we were maybe the Commission that had lived some good days in Brussels. Things have changed. Yes, it is true. All these successive crises have put in doubt the power of the European project. And it opened the door, in the way they were handled, to the populists who are undermining this European idea. Since you asked me how did I feel, as a pro-European from the very beginning of my life, I see the European dream declining. It has nothing to do with the dream and the vision of the forefathers of Europe. Europe is crossing an existential moment in its history. Talking about Independence Days, when I got the invitation to talk about it, I said, independence? Why? Are we in a sort of slavery? And we have to declare our war of independence against someone? And who is that someone? I think the answer is that the problem is within Europe. The national leaderships are not at the level of the circumstances. And the European leadership right now is looking inwards. In our case, I want to praise Jean-Claude Juncker, who was a political animal in the way Aristotle has defined it. Things were quite different. And we are all together in fighting how to save the European project. Now, the things are very difficult. Yes, what is happening in the United States is a big challenge for Europe. We are squeezed between global superpowers at a moment that Europe has not become a superpower. It has become an economic superpower, but since it never adopted a common foreign policy, defense policy, how can we declare this war of independence? I think the problem is within us. Are the leaders of today who believe in the European project? I'm afraid no, because this is the generation that has forgotten how Europe was built. And you know, I always say that mythology sometimes is more sincere than history. Sisyphus, for instance. You know this story. Someone condemned by gods to carry heavy rock on his shoulders, and when he was arrived on the top, the rock was rolling down again. I think it's the moment for responsibility, but also to test the two basic principles upon which the European project is built: solidarity and responsibility. Is there a solidarity in Europe today? I have witnessed it myself as a commissioner responsible for migration and security. There was no solidarity. And unfortunately, the reaction of all these member states were not what I was expected to see at the moment Europe was under pressure. I had also the big responsibility of security, counter-terrorism, and all these nice things. I was the lucky one in our commission, I believe, Maria. Well, believe me, there I found out something which is very important to share it with you. The so-called deep national states, they are not prepared to share responsibility and even knowledge and information with other member states. We had to cope as European Commission alone, and here are the results today. I think that we must all understand that it is the moment to do something to save Europe. Otherwise, we shall revert to the dark pages of our history. I'm very much concerned and worried of the rise of nationalism and populism together. Mm-hmm. It is the worst mix. It reminds me, Europe, believe me, what had happened before the Second World War. After the crack in the United States in the year 1929, we had the very first reaction of the American system. What Mr. Trump is doing today, they did it at that time. And we had the very first dictatorial regimes in Latin America that they were exported to Europe, and you know where we were led, to the abyss. And the other thing I want to tell you, which is a historical reference, the situation in Europe reminds me of the days of Weimar, of the Republic of Weimar. There are strong anti-political feelings by the people, and they express them any time they find an opportunity to do so. So these successive crises tested the power of the European project, and I believe that we are at a very crucial moment, and we have to take bold decisions if we really want to save Europe.
There is one thing I talked yesterday to my Indian friend, and he said the problem with the European Union is that we lost the appetite, we don't have hunger. Because all around us, the countries, the big global players, have hunger already from the past, like US, and then you have global players who discovered hunger to be global players, like India, like China, and so on and so on. Do you think that in the political leadership of European countries is still there some kind of notion, because it seems that we can't get our act together as quickly as we should, that let's wait and see, let's weather this storm, and then things are going to go back to normal? Do you think that this notion is still there, or, as Maria said, we see a mind shift inside of the political elites in your opinion?
Mind shift inside the system. This is the truth, as I share this point of view with Maria. As I said before, I believe that the current national leaderships in Europe, most of them, they are not at the level, at the height of the circumstances. They are looking inwards instead of looking into the future.
Who is going to change this? The citizens?
Unfortunately, I don't want to be pessimistic, only a deeper crisis. This is the moment that everybody realizes the need to make bold decisions. Otherwise, we are hidden or covered or fortified behind our national borders. The leadership and the party's leaders, they are thinking of the next elections, and that's how populists have found the ground to whisper in the ears of the people nice things that they will never deliver.
Look, we have 5 more minutes, so one last question to all of you. Please be short, that the organizers are not going to throw us out. And it's a simple question. Tell me, in your words, in a couple of words, your vision of Europe in 2040. 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you think must happen, that European Union in 2040 is going to be a fact, that it's going to be resilient, and it is going to be a global player. What must happen? Dimitris.
The way we address this question today makes me feeling that in 10 years from now, Europe will be either in disarray, which is the biggest threat, or even confronting, facing deep social problems. I'll tell you this very simple thing. Brussels announced that they will allocate something like 500 billion euros for defense.
800.
800, it's even worse. Tell me something. If we spend all this money for defense, do we really believe that we are going to be, from a defense point of view, powerful? No, because member states will keep following their own national path. But the very first consequence will be to see deepening our social cohesion problem, as Dimitri said before, because they're going to cut funds from healthcare,
education,
from social programs, from education. And this will lead to a social revolt. And this will be butter on the bread of populists.
And this would be the end of Europe, at the end of the day.
I'm afraid. Yes.
Dimitri.